Hey guys, here, right here, Gene. So over the past couple of days I haven't really posted a video due to this. I've been testing out the fastest supercars on GTA 5 to give you guys a top 5 list for that. And this does take up a lot of hours to figure out lines, figure out the cars as well. I'm really adapting to the track with it and really knowing how to take the corners and optimizing that as well. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much the real reason why I haven't posted, man, because I've been sitting on this chair for hours and hours. I've even streamed some of the sessions as well. You guys joined in and everybody's just testing out their pace on this track. This track is quite tricky. I thought at first it's quite simple, but then once you really figure out the lines and to push the optimal times with each of these cars, it can get extremely annoying, especially when you make a mistake. Even the slightest mistake, when taking one corner wrong, you just know the rest of the lap is going to be extremely slow. So remember, these times that you see now in this video are the absolute limits that I can possibly get myself with these cars. Yeah, the thing is, I'm still here to test the rest of the cars within each of these car classes on this track, along with the second track that I selected, so it's going to take even longer. But I'll definitely keep you guys updated on that, and I won't rush it, so I'll be doing it time to time. It's just I wanted to make sure I get this top 5 out the way for supercars, so I wanted to just go in there and spend so many hours making sure I get the results right and making sure I've pushed absolute limits with all of these cars. So number 5 spot, we've got the cheater with 1 minute 24.651, and this, remember that some of these cars are obviously suited for this tracks because of curvy bends and being able to carry the speed with this turning circle, which this car does have. It just doesn't produce enough speed through acceleration or top speed, so that's why it's number 5 spot. But the thing about number 4 spot is interesting. It's extremely close to the cheater's time on this particular track, but 030 milliseconds quicker is the Infernus here, 4th position. It's 124.619. The reason why they're extremely close in lap times on this particular track, because this track is suited and it favors more for the cheaters because of his turning circle, being able to carry a lot of speed through these corners. However, the performance is slightly better on the Infernus when it comes to, generally speaking, of all-wheel drive system and its immense power that it produces for each of these corners. But you have to understand the way the car works, and to generate that power is all about the braking point, and you have to be extremely patient with this car to be able to get these lap times. And the thing is, it's not consistent as well. To get consistent 124s, it requires a lot of concentration with this car, especially on these sort of tracks where it's not really suited for this car, because it does have the tendency to understeer, but at the same time it does want to oversteer if you do push it with the wrong braking points. Because if you become impatient with this car, oh, it will bite. It will bite. The thing about the cheater is that it's so consistent and predictable and efficient because of its insane traction. But this car, on the other hand, you have to be patient with it, people. Well, you guys, just to confirm yet again, all the tests that I do with all these cars will be done with high-end tires, and what you see now is all done with high-end tires as well. So if you guys want to see results on off-road tires, then check out Bruffy's channel. I'll put a link in the description below for that. He's already done tests with all the cars in the game with off-road tires. But yeah, guys, Infernus is a great car. It sounds great. They've certainly tweaked the sound a bit from the previous version of the game to this version of the PS4 and Xbox One. Certainly is a great car. It feels great to drive once you do get everything right. It feels extremely rewarding, but then again, it does become extremely costly as well if you do make mistakes. It's rather difficult to recover in those situations. But the 3rd spot, we have the Turismo, 1 minute 23.482, a huge leap from 4th to 3rd spot there. Pretty much about 1.2 seconds, to be honest, which is kind of crazy, but it's also understandable, because the thing about the Turismo is that with its performance, along with its extreme nimbleness, at high speeds it can turn this car any direction. It does respond. It's insane responsiveness that you can literally just brake and turn at the same time through these corners. And once you get those combinations right with every single one of these corners and do push it, you get this insane lap time. I thought 123.8 was the limit. Then someone managed to get 123.6. I was like, wow, that's extremely quick. Then for some reason I managed to break this 1 minute 23.482, and this was by far my absolute limit. I could not push any further than this. I've done over 200-300 laps, probably more than that, with this car on this track, and I cannot even get close to this time again. So this was one of those wonder laps where the revs were high throughout these corners, absolutely maximizing it and really just pushing it. Alright, and even with that being said, all of that being done, it's still got the 3rd position. Remember, you guys have to take into consideration that this track suits and favors this car as well, just because of its driving style, and to be able to carry speed around these curvy bends, and not much braking required with this car as well, mainly just, you know, sort of slightly tapping it and just really optimizing the speed through these corners. And it's, you know, like I said, it's still 3rd spot. It's a great car, and it feels so comfortable on these roads as well, because there's hardly any bumps and whatnot to affect you when carrying these speeds and taking the corners. But check this out, right? Number 2 spot Look at that, 0.002 milliseconds quicker than the Turismo. At the second spot, we have the Entity XF. Absolutely crazy. Remember, this car, right, it's not suited for these roads. It's not suited for this particular track. Anyway, so many corners, so many curvy bends, right, where the driving style for this car is completely opposite to the Turismo. You know, it's not even supposed to do well on these roads. You know, this car does have better performance than the Turismo when it comes to acceleration, right? Other than that, you know, it's got the extreme understeer as opposed to the Turismo, where it can get a bit boring when it comes to the driving style, where it's sort of you have to stop and start. It's not about the speed carry, it's about the braking and really getting that spot on to generate the acceleration, the power through the braking. And that's just the way this car works. So if you guys prefer this sort of driving style, go for it. But when it comes to actual battles against other cars, you know, this car is extremely dominant when it comes to defensive driving styles because of the way its braking system works, and other cars have to respect that. Whereas with Turismo, if you're going against that, with Turismo, you can always exploit the outside lines, but you have to be careful. You have to close the gap out and really grab the outside before this car generates the speed for acceleration, right? That's the difference, because the thing about Turismo is all about the speed carry, whereas this car is all about the braking. However, you can also say with the Entity, it's extremely difficult to hold the outside line as opposed to the Turismo because of the understeer. So if you're having to go and overtake a Turismo with Entity, it does require a hell of a lot of skill if you can't grab the inside line or exploit that. But the Entity can definitely nosedive a corner and do it successfully. But as expected, for number one spot, we have the Zentorno 123.348, which doesn't seem that much quicker than the second spot. But the reason why it's extremely difficult to get this time with this car on this track is because hardly any variables, plus with uphill bits, Zentorno doesn't pull as much as the other cars did. Always seems to be going a little bit slow on these bits with acceleration, and it's mainly to do with the weight of the car. It just doesn't want to seem to drag that weight with the immense weight that it has on the rear. And with that being said, if you try to brake and turn with this car at the same time, the rear just wants to stick out and wants to just pretty much oversteer. There seems to be hardly any weight on the front. It's just all the weight from the rear, and every time you try to shift through corners or trying to take a really sharp corner at high speeds, you're gonna have to control that rear, man, because that Bumbati wants to stick out. That's it, you're screwed, man. It's gonna get taken by someone else, and fuck that hoe, man. So thing is though, with this car, right, if you do get the braking point right and you are being patient with it, similar to the Infernus, but this car has got a more responsiveness when it comes to making mistakes. You know, you are going to be rewarded with the sheer power it produces through the corners of the acceleration. When the revs are high, you're going to fly. That's all this car is going to say to you, because if you give it potholes, if you give it more variables within city tracks, the lap time is going to get further and further with the gap given. So, you know, give it more potholes, give it more bumps. This going to just keep on flying. It's the best car in the game. It's the quickest car in the game when it comes to the fastest car in the game. And there's no doubt about it. You know, even on these roads, gets extremely quick lap times, and it can even go quicker as well. There's no limits for the Zentorno, people. You know, each lap, you know, sometimes you get this insane revs through the corner, and you make the most of it, and that's how you get your extremely quick optimal lap times with the quickest car in the game. And that's one of the reasons for that. It's insane power generated through these corners, man. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll be still testing more. Like I said, it's extremely exhausting testing these cars. I'll be greatly appreciative if you guys showed some support for this video, and I'll be bringing out more as well. And yeah, thanks for all the support, guys. I'll see you guys next time. Show your son out. Good night. Peace. Yeah. Hey guys, here, Gene. The results are finally in for top 10 fastest sports cars on GTA 5 on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I personally feel like quite a few